Welcome back everyone to another video. Hope y'all are doing well. Let's go over some cards that had some buyouts. So I'm going to go over some popular ones that you may know of, and I'm going to go over some that I actually just bought 2 minutes before this video started. So without further ado, hope y'all enjoy it, and if y'all new, make sure y'all subscribe. It's completely free, as well as I do sell my own packs and cards. If you do want to support, you definitely check out matrixcollects.com, and I even sell stuff below market. So if y'all want to support, I would greatly appreciate it. It's in the description. Now, what you guys are here for, let's now go over what cards have had some booms. Make sure y'all are hydrated. Before we show everything, let's show Prismatic Evolutions. Look at this. I'm happy to see this because the fact that it was $17 a pack. I mean, at the moment it's at 13, and then as we see here, 11. Honestly, a lot of people then like that thought's been in my head like where I would buy a prismatic pack at. This is the last thing I'm thinking of, and I'll make a different video about it because there's so much product of this box coming out that I have no reason to spend $10 a pack for this. You know what I mean? There's other stuff that are having buyouts, and Prismatic Evolution is the last thought in my mind. Plus, I don't like the artwork in this set, but that's beyond me. Let's go over the first card where we've already known that this card had a buyout, but I'm going to use this card as an example so you guys know on why and like what to look for a buyout. So, Drowsy technically had two buyouts actually. So, first one was right about here where it went up to about $30. Second one was right here. Now it's up to $77. Now, if you're wondering, I sold mine for about $31. Even when this spike happened, I left it there because, well, I said this in yesterday's video, but I don't think I'd feel good about myself if I jacked up the price by $30 and still got the sale. Maybe I'll think of that differently way later down the line when I'm bigger as a business, but as of right now, I didn't think I'd feel good enough to do that. So I raised it up by $5. It was at 26. I brought it up to 32. The card was at $70 market, so I kept it there and it got bought. So I still got my sale. I still made a couple extra bucks, and whoever bought the card is now very, very happy they got a card half off. So really happy for that. Highest price sale is $100, which is crazy. Last recently sold for $70. Lately played $65. And the big reason for this card, by the way, is Tomokazu is one of the most popular artists when it comes to Pokemon. So a lot of people didn't understand why this card's going up. It's simply because of the artist being so big, if you were curious on why this card's going up so much in price, and again, the buyout. Now, the second card I actually accidentally ran into yesterday. Now, if you were watching the end of that video, I didn't buy all four cards because I could have bought four of this card. And I believe if I look at the email, excuse me, of I just did a $30 purchase on CCG Castle. That's where I buy my cards. I picked up only two Hoot Hoots. So I don't want to. Hopefully, I don't have to hear in the comments of people tweaking out. I don't do that. So as you can see, 95 have sold. This card is officially having a buyout. Buyout like crazy. This card used to be only 70 cents. Hope you bought it then. I've always said Astral Radiance was one of the best sets, and no one wants to respect it, which is cool. You know, I've already invested I already have some cards set aside of Astral Radiance because I already knew this set was gonna go up. So I hope you guys can write this down, man, because this is so worth it. This set's so good. Plus the pack sets, I can find them for $475. You know what I mean? You can find them for $475. And that's really difficult for a set with alt arts. So this card's having a buyout at the moment. I think this card's going to go to about $10 at least. Now, our last recently sold, we have $450, $356, $442, couple at $2. That's so dope. $444, $498. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at. This card's $4 or $5 now. Now, I bought this card for $2 each. So I picked up two. The reason I picked this card up was because this card I saw as I was recording a video on why Astral Radiance is one of the best sets. Card I found out how to buy out. So I was able to buy it at the peak. I highly, highly recommend always going to card shops, always looking around online, always going on Instagram claim sales. People will always have cards like this up for like $2, $3. This I'd buy this at 3. I wouldn't buy this at 450. Maybe I might eat my words in a couple days because I did say that this card could be potentially $10. I don't think it's going to be $10 tomorrow. Maybe in a couple weeks. But the reason I think this card is so good, I don't know the illustrator of this card. I just know that this card is simply a super dope card. And ever since this cards came out, I've known this card is sick. I've had this card in and out of my collection a couple times. And now that I'm picking up 2, I'm probably going to hold on to 1 and sell the other. And that will be on Matrix Collects. So if y'all want to check out some cards, some packs that are below market, you can check out Matrix Collects. That is my website, but would greatly appreciate it. The next card is a card that I also, I don't know how to spell it. I also was just doing my little research. How do you spell execute? Oh my goodness. You know what? Let me go to the email. So I was just doing my daily little, trying to make sure, if I can find some cards on a good sale to try and get a couple bucks for my small business. And I came across the Execute. Now, if you guys know, Aloy Executor is a pretty expensive card. Unified Minds, Aquapolis, Surging Sparks. So you can tell that this card has a nice history of being expensive. But what do we also know? That it has a baby evolution of Execute. So if we go to Execute, let's see the character bearer from Surging Sparks. Now, this card alone, palm trees, eggs, basketball. This card had every reason to go absolutely bonkers. Now, look, this is from Surging Sparks. Surging Sparks is not easy set to get right now. It's also not that easy to find this card. When I tell you the price of what I bought this card for, low-key, you might get mad. Okay, so this card obviously had a buyout. It was at $4 in December. It's at about $16.34. Again, look at these sold. It had a buyout, a big buyout. 15, 14, 18, 15, 19. I found it for $5.75. So I saw this card. As soon as I looked it up, without even looking at the graph, I already knew looking at this card that this card was going to boom. Why? It's really simple when you look at it. A lot of common basic cards always go up in price. That's like, if you're a beginner when it comes to investing or just trying to save like a good couple bucks on a card before it goes up in price, a basic Pokemon has always in history of illustration rares, which is not much, it's a couple years though, basic trainer gallery cards do really well. On top of that, stuff that shows a lot of real life things. So like if I showed you the Litten character rare, I talked about this in yesterday's video. I still think this card's really underrated. I have a copy of this card. We have the shelving, we have this shelving, we have the cat, Dynamo. There's a lot of human things. You know what I mean? And what I've noticed is that is a good indicator for a card to be really liked. And Litten was one of them, and now it's Execute. We have the pink, beautiful pink basketball court, tennis, eggs. We have the rollerblades. We have the Pokeball. There's literally so much in this card if you really look deep into the card. And that's simply what I try and look for when it comes to investing into cards. Like on my website as of right now, all of these cards, I would say about 75% of these cards I've talked about. This card I've talked about. That card I've talked about. I've definitely talked about Lost Origins. I talked about this card, Lost Origins. Gardevoir, I've talked about 151. Growlithe, I've actually picked up an English copy of that as well. Then we have, let's keep looking, Sandygast, I've talked about big time. Big time. We'll look at that card later because I think that card had a buyout recently. And Torkoal, which I think is underrated. So there's definitely a bunch of cards that I definitely think every single card that I've bought for Matrix Collects, 80-90% of them I'm talking about. And they are already going up in price, with this one being included. This one has gone up 245%. This 2 weeks ago, when I was making videos on cards like this number was unfathomable unless the card only went up $2 from it being only 70 cents. This card went from $4.73 to almost $17. Raw. We're talking about raw cards here. This is so out of the ordinary. It is insane to me. It is crazy. It is so out of the ordinary to me. And you might think it's like random cards, but it's really not. It's really not. Like, if you really take a look at some of these cards, you'll be like, oh, that makes sense. You know? It makes so much sense. Now, I don't know the artist on this one, so I don't know if the artist has anything to do with it. Again, there could be a couple things. Artist, and then the actual Pokemon itself. And again, I always see when it's a basic type, that's definitely, like, for me, a really, really big telling of, like, okay, I need to buy this. Now, I think I brought it up in the last 2 videos. If you haven't looked, at least look. I'm not even saying buy. Just look at Scarlet Violet base set. This is where I would go to first when it comes to looking for cards that might have potential buyouts. Let's go to best selling. Let's see if we can find something like here. Obviously, the Drowsy, Gardevoir, Riolu. It's at 50, 60. What we got here? 32, 25. So this card has a big potential to have another buyout. The reason simply because this one hasn't yet. We just went over some that already has. It's because this Pokemon is already expensive. Lucario is a very, very known, very popular Pokemon over time in history. It's done pretty decent for cards-wise. It's just a really good character. Plus, Lucario showing in the background, weights, ab roller, yoga mat, flower, pillow. This reminds you of like a dog messing up your house. Some folks can relate to it. That can give them every reason to get the card. So, base set. Again, if it's simple as you don't know what cards to look at, Riolu has a big indication. I'm holding on to mine because I think the Riolu is going to have a buyout. I can't see why it doesn't. I believe Graveyard had something happen. I mean, it looks like it's on the trajectory. You know, so we go to 3 months. Went from $5. It's at look how many cards were bought on the 20th. Yeah, this card's gonna have a buyout. Now, I'm not throwing that word around, by the way. I'm throwing the word out to the cards that where it makes sense. All these sales, almost $19, $20. Now, if you take a look at this card, we have the beautiful background, Ghastly, Shuppet, Pokeball, Gengar. We have Drifloon. I said this about the Lilligant, the alternative art from Astral Radiance, that when a lot of Pokemon are featured in a card, it does pretty well. So that, I think, has a decent indication of that card maybe having some type of buyout sort of situation. Pachirisu is a great card as well. There's a lot of great cards in this set. Sandile had a buyout. I wasn't able to buy for it, unfortunately. I could have bought it for $275. I passed on it. There were some other cards that I bought instead. I thought were worth it. So this card has had a buyout. It's at $8 now, which is kind of crazy. And guess what set it's from? The set that I keep telling people about. Dude, I mean, this card just made so much sense. I mean, it is a beautiful Pokemon. I used to live in Arizona, so I feel like I relate to this Pokemon because it's in like that deserty area. Artwork looks beautiful. It's a basic Pokemon. And look at like the attacks as well. Notice how like there's not much text for the attacks, so you can see more of the artwork. I think personally that is I wouldn't say the biggest, but a really good indication of people maybe enjoying the card more for the fact that they could see more of the artwork. But this buyout, so expected. If you can find this card for still $2-3, bro, pick it up. It's like a $9-10 card now. These places, that's Japanese, that's Japanese, that's Japanese. Moderately played. You're not going to find a good condition one at a good price anymore. We have Clauncher going up too. Let's see how this one's doing. Wow, 50 to 60. Okay. What was that other card? All right, Palmont. I might have a copy of this card. Palmont. This card had a buyout. Wow. Scarlet Violet base set. Let me go check real quick to see if I have this card, because I believe I bought this at $4.75. Bang, baby. That is the same card you're looking at. So I bought that for $4.75. This card had a buyout. You might be like, hey, bro, why do you think that? Why do you think this card was gonna have a buyout? How'd you know? Well, look at the card. Now, what have I said about Pokemon like this that have other Pokemon in it? They do good. But Scarlet Violet base set has the Ralts. I don't know if y'all know. This Ralts evolution where it goes from Ralts, then it goes to Kirlia and Gardevoir. I'm going to blow your mind. You guys just saw the Palmet card, right? This Palmet card just had a buyout. Let's go the Palmy. It is only $1. This card is going to skyrocket. I am telling you, this card is going to skyrocket. The only reason I was not able to pick up this card for myself, look how many copies are being sold. 400 copies are being sold. People know. People know this card's going to get bought out. Get this at the best price possible. This card is going to skyrocket. If the evolution just had a buyout, it just got bought out, it only makes sense. So I hope I'm able to pick up a couple, because again, this card is going to have a buyout. The reason I didn't, I'm going to tell you what card I picked instead of it. This is the card that I picked up instead. The Minccino character rare. The reason I picked up this card, basic Pokemon, beautiful party look, temporal forces. This card doesn't have a look. Oh, wow, dude. Card's at $11 as of right now. Go to recently sold. We have 10, 850, 11, 10, 10 for 5 copies, 20. Card's starting to go up. This could have a buyout 100%. I picked mine up for $7.75. Instead of buying a bunch of the Palmy cards for 75 cents, I decided to spend $7.75 on this Minccino. Granted, maybe I could have made a couple more bucks from the Palmies. That's possible. And maybe I might still go back to the Palmies. Maybe. But I think this Minccino card was more worth it in my personal opinion. I think this card is going to have a skyrocket buyout, just simply from the fact that this card just looks extremely nice. It's a really good card. Like, it is, in my personal opinion, one of the best cards in Temporal Forces when it comes to characters as a basic Pokemon. So, we just went over in this video some cards that have had buyouts. And then we've also went over cards that have potential buyouts. So hopefully you can learn from this video that looking for a buyout isn't too difficult. There's a couple things you gotta look for. Artwork and the graph. And if you're always wondering where to buy cards, you can always buy cards at Matrix Collects. You can always buy cards on Instagram, claim sales, your local card shop. Hopefully this video helps you out. God bless. Jesus loves y'all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see y'all in the next video.